This is HuffPost Live. I'm Josh Sepps. You probably know her best as Dr. Lisa Cuddy on House, MD. But you've also seen Lisa Edelstein on Seinfeld, The West Wing, Ally McBeal, The Practice, ER, Frasier, The Good Wife, Scandal. The bio goes on and on and on. Her latest starring role is in Bravo's first original scripted series, Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. She plays a self-help guru in her 40s who's recently separated from her husband. Take a look at a clip.
Can't keep this a secret forever. Jake hasn't been living at home for weeks.
Yeah, but we've been very careful. He's always home before the kids get up.
But nobody sees you together.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're hanging around with us.
The whores with the Scarlet D on their
I
chest.
wouldn't characterize it
No,
like
I
that.
would.
I actually
feel
thought
like
that
you
about
wouldn't.
yours.
I think it's time. You gotta tell your kids are separated. Keeping this a secret.
Betsy Brown says it's better not to. She says separation's so vague. Good
Who's
idea of
Betsy
telling.
Brown?
Betsy Brown, fantastic, specializing
Amazing.
in divorce and children. I
She's
have her
amazing.
on speed
Great to know.
dial.
But maybe I won't even have to tell the kids at all, because if Jake moves back in, then we all go back to normal and the kids will never have to even know he was gone.
Lisa Edelstein is here. Thanks for being here. Welcome to HuffPost
Thank
Live.
you.
You're on Bravo.
Yeah.
You're not a chef. You're not a $1 million realtor. Mm-hmm. You're not a Real Housewife.
What is going on?
Was there any initial trepidation about wow, we're doing scripted now on this network that is known for not doing that?
I mean, yes, except that I read the script, and the script is great. And I just felt like if Bravo's making their foray into scripted with this script, then I'm on the same page as Bravo.
Great.
They really have great taste.
Do you want to plug the show? What is tell us about what interests you about your character and the scenario that she's in.
Abby's one of those women whose whole identity was sort of wrapped around being a wife, being a mother, and being this fabulous answer lady into how to be the best wife and mother you can be, and yet her life has disintegrated. So I loved that by the end of episode 1, everything that she has done that she identifies with is gone. It's stripped from her, and so she's sort of floating. She's like a single cell, a single cell organism floating through the ether, trying to figure out where she belongs.
How far ahead have you read and/or shot? I don't know how this works.
We've done 13 episodes. We've shot
They're
them,
all in the can.
and that's the whole season.
What happens at the end?
Do you do that? Do you read the last page first?
Always.
I used to do that in elementary school because I would get so stressed out. How's the mystery going to be solved? Is everybody going to be okay? I just needed to know it was okay, and then I could read. But now I'm not like that anymore.
There's a quote from Michael Caine that might be eponymous where he says that when I receive a script, I look and I see whether or not my character's on the first page, and then I flip to the last page.
They're still alive.
He's still on the last page, and if so, then I say yes, I'll do the film.
When we were shooting the pilot of House, we were in Vancouver, which is where we shot just the pilot, for 3 weeks. All my scenes were shot the last 3 days, so I had nothing to do for the first 2.5. And Robert Sean Leonard was done in like the first 4 days, and then he had nothing left to do. So we did a lot of having coffee and reading newspapers. And he said, "How could I have not noticed? My character is a cancer doctor, and on page 9 I say it's not cancer. If it's not cancer, what am I doing here?"
I'm out drinking coffee in Vancouver. There's a lot of buzz about that. People are doing this. What's this? The thing? What is this? Where does
This
this
is
come from?
our little. We did a beautiful poster campaign. There it is.
I guess I'm using the wrong. I should be using
It's
my.
this.
I should be
No.
using my-
It's your ring finger. Oh
my ring
yeah.
finger,
You got it.
for
Yeah.
a man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you excited by the fact that seems to be catching on?
It's great. It's great. I love how controversial it was. My husband actually came up with that. Oh look, my husband came up with that concept and the whole campaign.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is he, like a social media maven or something?
No, he's an artist, and he also does that sort of thing where he'll come up with campaigns
Clever cookie.
for movies or TV shows.
And you're a newlywed as well, which is kind of
Yeah.
weird because you're playing a recently separated person. Is it
Yes.
hard to get your? I'm a newlywed as well. My husband is
Congratulations.
just is at home, and so I'm wondering whether or not it's hard to get your head into the mindset of someone whose relationship has just fallen apart when you're still in the giddy phase.
You know what? And literally, I left the next day. We got married on the 25th of May, and on the 26th of May, we were driving to Vancouver. So it was really quick. But there he is.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't hard because honestly, as you might know, when you get married, what are you thinking about the most? How do I make this work? How do I make it last? How can it be forever? What do I have to do? What does it take? And when I'm playing a character whose marriage has failed, those are all the things that we're talking about also. The show is about relationships. So and it's what is more on your mind when you get married.
Has it altered the way that you think about relationships or about divorce or about long-term commitment?
I think it really planted a seed to remind myself on a daily basis not to take my husband for granted, not to take our relationship for granted, to really remember that that anything can end and how do you keep it? How do you
Well, that's
keep
good.
showing
He's probably
up?
happy you're doing this gig. He's like, this is great. I'm not getting taken for granted.
Nope.
She's got to think this stuff through.
Yeah.
Lots of people from the HuffPost Live community wanted to talk to you, and we love to always involve people since we're live. And
Nice.
Participatory. So Carolina Okoli recorded a video. Take a look at this.
Oh,
Hi, Lisa. What was the first thing on your mind when you found out you were going to be the lead actress of a new show that talks about divorce?
cute. Well, I was. It's the first time I've been the lead of a series, which is a huge opportunity for me, and I was really excited about it. And the subject matter also, I think, is something that's on so many people's minds because it relates to the lives of more than half this country. People are half the marriages in this country end in divorce, or you're the child of divorce, or your friends getting a divorce and you don't understand, or. My husband was in the middle of a divorce when I met him, and so I have walked through divorce from that point of view. I have stepchildren, so learning how to have an alternative family is something that you're really not trained for, and even the language in school hasn't quite caught up with what's really going on in the world. I don't know if you've noticed in school, they usually say, okay, let's do a family tree, get the side of your mommy and get the side of your daddy. But there are so many families that have two mommies, two daddies, two mommies and a daddy, two daddies and a mom, whatever it is, but
Four daddies, 13 mummies.
Yeah, you never know.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah. What do you make of that when you say that so many marriages end in divorce? Do you have any thoughts about why that is? Is it that people used to be imprisoned in loveless marriages and now they can get out, or is it something more insidious?
we feel like we have more options now, and but I think when you have an old idea of what marriage looks like with a new way of living, for example, economically, most families need to have two working parents. Sometimes the woman makes more money than the man in that case, more often now than it ever was before. And there's a lot of that in our show where what does it look like when the woman's paying alimony? And what does it look like? Who is the man that isn't working? Who is that guy in a family? Is that okay? Is it an emasculating position to be in? Of course it's okay. It's all okay. But because we're handed a story before when we're children and an understanding of what our lives will look like when we create our own families, we struggle with the comparison.
Yeah, living up to that. The New York Times this weekend had a piece about stay-at-home dads and the way that they're kind of rethinking that, and there's a newfound kind of movement to re-empower the masculinity of the stay-at-home dad. That is, you are still doing
it's so
a caring
sexy.
thing.
A great dad is a sexy dad.
Oh.
FYI.
I'm not a daddy yet, but
You never
maybe
know.
someday. You also mentioned that this is the first role where you've really been carrying a show. And
Yeah.
you've had as you heard in the introduction, I mean, when you look at your bio, you've done every major show in America, basically. What's that like to kind of go from being, oh, this is a good little bit for like 3 episodes, and this is a good little thing for another, and now I can embody this little character for a little while on someone else's gig, but now this is mine.
It's so much fun. I make everyone bow to me when I walk in.
Are there small children with rose petals in front of you?
Finally, I make them bow. You know,
And they
I've
have
been
to.
waiting a long time. Exactly.
Is it pressure or is there a kind of relief in it?
It's so much fun. Luckily, I'm working with Marty Noxon, who this is her first she created this show. It's the first time one of the shows she's created has gone to series. And so both of us have a very similar idea of what kind of workplace we want to be in. And when you're there the most, you really set the tone. And so it's been an incredible experience for me. Also, my character is drawn. It's drawn with more details than it is when you're a supporting character. At least at first, supporting characters sort of find their way as the years go by. If you're so fortunate to be in a long-running show, but this time she's got all colors of the rainbow, and I really get to use what I've learned over the years. So.
And I guess supporting characters also, they're fulfilling a role, aren't they?
That's right. They're moving the storyline.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas
I
when you're the
cannot tell you
central
how many
role-
times I said house, no. By like season 6, I said, I really don't need to say his name at this point. Like,
Right.
We all know what his
We
name
know
is.
who he is, and can't I
But
just
like
say
every
yes?
line on this page, I say house. You can't.
Yeah, this is madness.
House,
You've got to
that's
rein yourself
crazy.
in.
What are you doing, House?
That's right. And yet he always seemed to be right. It's weird that you
was
didn't learn.
So smart,
you never
though.
learned.
So smart.
Let's bring in some more community. Anam Ahmad joins us live. Hey, Anam.
Hi,
Hi.
Do you have a question for Lisa?
I do. You mentioned that you got married the day before you left. Were you and Robert a belated
I can't hear her.
honeymoon, or are you planning one?
You just broke up a little bit, Anam, but I think she's saying, are you
think-
planning a honeymoon?
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to have one yet. It was like the honeymoon drive from our wedding to Vancouver, but I was so sick by the time the wedding was over. It was so exhausting because we were doing the upfronts here and then running and trying to organize the whole wedding. So I slept through most of the honeymoon drive, and my husband was a great support system for me. So yeah, we want to go somewhere beautiful. I want to go somewhere where the water is so blue it looks like an alien planet.
You know, I know a country down in the South Pacific which may take your fancy. Go to Australia. We've got questions on Twitter as well. Kelly asks, what did your real husband think of you filming the sexy scenes?
That's a very good question, Kelly. It's hard. It's hard he's not an actor, so it's hard to really explain what that experience is like, which is not a sexy experience. What you really want out of a partner who has to do those scenes with you is someone who's done them before and knows the deal and knows how to take care of you during it, because it can be really embarrassing. The sexier the scene, the more embarrassing for me the scene is. But
Is there ever any arousal there, or is it always just, oh God, I gotta get through this and
I don't
fade it?
know. Maybe for the youngins, but not for me. No. Look, you're so exposed, and not just exposed. How many sex faces have you seen in your life? It's like you don't really want to see the sex face of somebody that you don't want to see the sex face of, and you're not really giving your sex face when you're having sex in a sex scene on camera. If you're in porn, I don't even think those are their real sex faces when they're doing.
No, I'm sure not. Absolutely,
But
I should
it's
hope
not very attractive. So you're sort of like trying to figure out the camera version of your sounds and your face, which is, it's really challenging.
It's
and
bad
then you're
enough
worried about your body and the angle and
Right.
what's showing, and there's limits to what can be shown on camera. And there's things that are taped up.
It's bad enough to think about yourself when you're actually in the sex act, but when you're feigning a sex act and thinking about whether or not you look like you actually are realistically
And the
doing that.
crew's there, and I know these guys, and we had the best crew ever, and they were so supportive. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but Robert's been great about it, very tolerant.
Good.
And has to be a quick.
You
learner
act.
about
I mean,
that stuff.
you have to act. Another question. Jess Clackham says, my question for your HuffPo talk with Lisa: what was the toughest or most emotional scene you did? How did you get through it?
There's a lot of emotional scenes in this season. I would say the toughest scene I had to do was actually a sex scene, but I don't want to give it away.
All right. Very well.
Yeah, but there's a lot of really raw stuff, which was what I love about it, because it's so funny, and yet at the same time it gets to such a raw place.
One more question. Sarah Charlotte says, what's your secret to looking as amazing as you do? I'd love to look like that in my 40s. Oh, isn't that sweet?
That is very sweet. Thank you very much. I don't know. I eat really.
You don't have any particular.
I eat really well. I've been a vegetarian for 33 years.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. What was the genesis of that? Was it an ethical decision? Was it a health decision?
It was an ethical decision, a health decision, a taste decision. I never really liked meat all that much. When I started to really viscerally understand that you were eating muscle and bone and snapping tendons and sucking on cartilage, I lost complete interest in it. And it took a long time for me to figure out what that means in terms of how to eat a really healthy diet outside of the one that we've been taught in school. But you can have wonderful, wonderful health as long as you've educated yourself and you know how to cook. Cooking is really important.
Yeah. I mean, the way that we raise animals now is
It's brutal.
a lot worse than it was
There's
back
a whole
then.
section on the 5 freeway going up towards from Los Angeles to San Francisco.
Yeah, it's pungent. What do they
It's
call
not
it?
just
They call it
we call it
death.
Cowschwitz.
Cowschwitz. That's right.
But it's millions of, well, hundreds, thousands of cows packed together. The smell is horrendous. The conditions they're living in are horrendous, and it's the same with poultry farms. I mean, it's.
Well, I mean,
But look,
you know,
I'm not perfect. You know, I have leather shoes on. I have a leather bag in the office. It's like we all participate on some level, and it's not to say that I'm not a hypocrite, because I think we're all hypocrites. We can talk about saving the world and then fly across the country to go see a friend and, you know, waste all that fuel. But we have to do our best. And I think ultimately, I would say to people, try to be vegetarian twice a week. If everybody were vegetarian once or twice a week, the amount that would affect the environment is enormous.
do you think that we'll look back on this era in which we've basically outsourced agriculture to big industry, where the only consideration in the way that we treat animals is really getting the price of a pound of their flesh down to as few pennies as possible?
It's so. I
That
think
in
they
100
can now
years' time,
grow meat. I think
well, that is coming. We can't.
So
but it's
that's
on its
probably
way.
more the direction that we're going in, because we can't afford to be doing this with the animals. We can't survive it. We cannot survive the way humanity will not survive the way we're going right now. There's too many of us. There's too many of us, and it takes too much to feed us, and so much gets wasted in the process.
And now China is getting a taste for meat as well, and being able to afford
Getting a
it is
taste for
problem.
meat. What does that mean? They've always eaten meat.
They haven't been able to afford it, mostly. I mean,
Right.
most Chinese people don't have the ability to eat protein. Anyway, let's
Yeah,
not go
that's
too
a
far
whole
down that.
other
It's
conversation.
a whole other conversation,
Are you
which we will have.
vegetarian?
No, I'm not, but I'm a very guilty, sort of organic, animal-loving meat eater.
Again, it's like, okay, so that's who you honestly can say you are. So try once or twice a week to have no animal product, and really explore what that means. Figure out what you can cook. Find really delicious. You'll eventually
it
start
is
replacing.
delicious. Yeah, I mean, what I hate the most about the vegetarian movement is the attempt to make fake ersatz meat out of things like.
I don't eat fake
I don't
things.
like all
And
that. Vegetables are delicious. They're perfectly good.
Right,
They can stand on their
legumes
own
are
2 feet.
delicious.
Yeah.
There's so many that quinoa is delicious. You don't want to imitate what you used to eat. You want to find new things. You want to expand your diet.
I want to talk House. One of our Twitter people has said, "Do you miss acting with Hugh Laurie?" One of the things that's amazing about Hugh Laurie is that when you come not from the States and you know what his pre-career was, when he was working with Stephen Fry.
Did you have to have an adjustment period?
It was mind-boggling to me, the fact that now seeing him do House. I want to show people who aren't familiar with Hugh Laurie what he was basically doing for the rest of his career up until that. This is a clip from a little bit of Fry and Laurie. He had a comedy sketch series with his comedy colleague Stephen Fry for many years in the UK. Here he plays a woman who is complaining about an offensive sketch that she has seen on the very same show that he works on. Take a look at this.
I thought the whole thing was disgusting. I thought the whole thing was simply disgusting.
Yes, did you
I mean,
ever-
there was no warning given as to what was in store. None whatsoever.
We have the producer with us.
Now, for goodness sake, what if my children had been watching? I mean, no thought had been given to this at all.
Did your children actually see the
No,
program?
they didn't. They didn't see it, no. But only thanks to the purest good fortune that they don't actually happen to have been born yet.
Interestingly, that's how he dressed to work every day and what he sounded like in person.
Isn't it odd? What did you make of working with him?
Well, I didn't have a past. I didn't see that show until after I got to know Hugh. No, it was great. It was a wonderful run.
Was he more like that? I mean, is he a funny, wacky guy on set, or is he a sufficiently kind of grounded actor?
Our
that he
days were
remains
very
in?
intense, and he had miles of dialogue. So no, it wasn't like a big jokey set. But he's a witty guy.
Did you get along?
Yeah, we got along quite well.
Quite well.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we got along. We got along really well.
Good.
Yeah, everybody got along on that set.
Yeah. You miss him?
I love my job now. I think my job then was it was a fantastic experience to be on such a huge hit, but really limited in terms of what I got to do on it. And so it was nice to be able to break free.
Well, it's also exhausting, isn't it? Just
Well,
the
but
pace
I
of
didn't.
production?
I didn't actually work as heavily as I do on this job. So
Oh, right.
yeah, because I only had to enter either to say no or to yell at him. But you know, it was fun. It was fun. It was a very smart, funny group of people.
Many of us first encountered you on The West Wing. I know that's when I first saw you in the pilot. I mean, the pilot of this huge show.
That was also a very exciting job.
Rob Lowe, and you'd worked for
Not just in a scene with Rob Lowe, who I had been in love with when I was a teenager, but in my underwear, smoking pot in my underwear in bed with Rob Lowe. That was sort of like, I just thought, can I please travel in time and tell my 15-year-old self that this is going to happen?
Yeah, how did that feel, getting that
great.
job?
Oh, it was great. I had worked with Aaron Sorkin on Sports Night, and Tommy Shalami, who directed it. I'd worked with him before that, so it was one of those jobs that came out of other jobs, and it was fantastic. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, you've got that great line also. It's it's the first time that we actually find out what Rob Lowe's job is or what the whole scenario is, because
Who's POTUS, I think
his phone beeps with a text message,
and
you say, your friend POTUS has a funny name and he should learn to ride a bicycle better because he's been in a bike crash. And he's like, that's not his name, that's his title. And you're like, POTUS,
quoting
like
the
President
West
of the United States.
Wing.
Yeah,
Did you see The West Wing when it came out, or did you see The West Wing?
Yeah, no, when it first came out.
That is so great.
I was a teenage geek.
Nice.
Yeah, total nerd. What was it like, just briefly before we go? You were trained at Tisch here in New York City, so you've been familiar with this city for a long time.
Yeah.
Have you seen any changes or any?
In New York?
What's the trajectory of the city? Yeah, been over the course of the time.
It's completely changed, but it always changes. So the New York that I grew up in was very different. It was dirty and dangerous, and there were tons of prostitutes everywhere. It was a very different place. Now it's much cleaner and neater and wealthier. And I mean, there's still pockets of what feels a little more like the old New York, and I know people of my generation and older complain about it sometimes. I just feel like New York will never be the same New York as the generations pass. And it's just fascinating to watch what it will turn into next.
Yeah. Before we go, another message that just come on from Ricky Camilleri, who's actually one of our hosts here. He says, talk about the mango episode of Seinfeld. Have you ever been able to look at mangoes the same way?
I was just talking about that in another...
Obviously, we're on Seinfeld, too.
It's so funny. Just in the last interview that I did, we were talking about the mango episode because we were talking about sex scenes, and it was my first time having to feign an orgasm, although it was just in an ADR room on a microphone. And I was just, what is the sound? What is the sound that you want people to think you make when you have an orgasm? Because it's not like you're actually having an orgasm, FYI, unless you're in porn. And then I don't know.
And even then,
vouch.
probably not.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I guess the guys have to.
The guys have to. But the girls don't.
No.
But anyway, that was a really fun job. It was also a very exciting job. I feel like there are certain jobs where you go, oh, my life just changed.
Right.
Yeah. Or jobs that you don't get and you go, oh, my life didn't
right,
change.
Exactly. What season was that? How huge was Seinfeld?
I think it was 4th or 5th season.
So it was the
huge.
biggest show in the world.
Yeah, it was a huge. It was the first episode of the season. It was a big deal.
What's it like walking onto that set on the soundstage in LA and seeing Jerry's apartment?
I wasn't a Seinfeld viewer, so I wasn't quite as intimidated as I might have been had I been a viewer. But it was still, they were at the height of their careers or their early careers, and I think there was a lot of pressure on them. So it was a little bit of a strange experience. I felt very outside of it, and I was also very young and green, so everything was new. So it was really hard to understand what was happening around.
It's so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you
so much for stopping by.
Thank you. I didn't curse once.
You didn't curse once?
Damn it, I could have. Fuck
that. You can see more of Lisa Edelstein in Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, which premieres Tuesday, December 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Bravo. Stay tuned for more conversations coming up right here on HuffPost Live.